Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Outcomes Rocket. Saul Marquez here, and today I have the privilege of hosting Kempton Presley. He is the Chief Executive Officer at AdhereHealth, and he leads the company's strategic direction, overseeing the growth of the business, product development, analytics, positioning. They're just doing incredible work in the space, and I'm excited to have him as a very tenured leader, having done this many times. Excited to hear what AdhereHealth is up to here at the very latest. So, Kempton, such a pleasure to have you with us.
So it's great to be here. It's an honor. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Listen, it must have been about 6-7 months ago. We had Chandra on the podcast. She just did a beautiful job. And so I'm excited to have you here as a follow-on to the conversation we had with her. Look, to kick things off, tell me about you and tell me about AdhereHealth for those that are with us that aren't familiar.
Absolutely. So I'm Kempton Presley, been in the healthcare payer world for 2 decades. My background is a combination of economics, medical informatics, and public health. So at AdhereHealth, I get to be at what I consider the perfect intersection of those domains and disciplines. I also teach data science at Vanderbilt, so got a foot in that world all the time. But AdhereHealth is a really special company. We exist to help patients take better care of themselves through better medication adherence, through preventive services, through all sorts of different behavioral improvements that allow them to live healthier and better lives. We're a tech-enabled services company. We've been around since 2006, started by a pharmacist and healthcare leader who had experienced significant challenges associated with medication misuse in his family. And so he had a very heartfelt mission to start a company that could serve patients and populations throughout the country and help them coordinate their medications and close other gaps in care.
Thank you, Kempton. And look, I think you're spot on. Your background in really the payer space, the informatics space, and really bringing it all together is such a sweet spot for what AdhereHealth does. Talk to us a little bit more about the main ways that AdhereHealth adds value to the ecosystem.
Absolutely. What we do is we partner primarily with risk-bearing entities, mainly payers, and a big portion of those payers are Medicare Advantage plans. And so we work with those plans to identify their highest risk members that are struggling with their medications, members that are struggling to get certain types of screenings, members that are in suboptimal situations that prevent them from living their best life. And we help work with those patients to influence them and their health in ways that improve their quality ratings, like star measures, and in ways that ultimately drive improved health outcomes and in turn cost containment for the plan. So we focus on the moments where care breaks down, like when people don't take their medications or they skip their preventive care. Then we use an omni-channel behavioral science infused approach, which you learned a little bit about from Chandra several months ago, to influence both patients and their care teams to make better decisions that improve their outcomes.
That's really cool, Kempton. It's not just the patient, but you're also deploying some of these programs at the clinician level. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that? That's interesting.
Absolutely. And that's something I love about what we do, because you can learn so much about the healthcare system by interfacing with providers, prescribers, pharmacies, and seeing the different interactions they're having with patients. In many cases, what we're doing is we're isolating those instances where there could be a breakdown in communication between prescriber and their patient. Prescriber may not know what type of care they're receiving from other parts of the system. And so what we do is we gather data and we help illuminate blind spots for those prescribers to be able to see those instances where they can intervene, get closer with their patient, and get them to either get on the right medications, get off the wrong medications, go get those needed exams that they've been missing. It's a really powerful way to drive impact. It's also a strong business model to include providers and pharmacies in the mix, because in many cases, we can work with one practice and drive improvements for a multitude of patients at one time. So if we do that right, it allows us to have a strong return on every effort we put forth. But you have to do that wisely, because while you can do patient improvements at scale, you can also make mistakes at scale. So we have to be really sensitive to the way we're working with the provider and pharmacy communities.
Yeah, totally. No, I appreciate you highlighting that. And yeah, it just makes sense, right? When you're in the middle of it, you don't think about it. But when you think about the entire value chain from physician's office to pharmacy to endpoint with the patient, like really having a way to take the black box away and give visibility to all this really puts the plan, the patient, the physician, the pharmacy in control.
And that's our goal, is to be able to provide that information in a way that fits into their workload. There's a lot of concern about alert fatigue and provider abrasion. And for us, if we can layer on insights to fit within the prescriber's workflow, we can help drive a lot of change and drive a lot of improvement. And then we can track what's happening with the patient on the back end. And so it's extremely fulfilling to be able to have care team-wide impact and be able to improve the strength of those relationships in a sustainable way.
Yeah, that's great, Kempton. Really appreciate that. And so there's other companies out there claiming to help with medication adherence. Define what's different. What's the secret sauce that AdhereHealth does that makes an impact?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and we're grateful to the entire community of entities out there working to improve on this global problem. I think some things that make our model special include, but are not limited to, the fact that we work with our health plans and meet them where they are. We allow them to identify the risks that they're seeing versus saying that we have to identify it all. And because many plans have great analytics on their side. And so they are seeing certain things, and oftentimes they need a partner that can complement what they're doing and not just override it. And so we will work with plans to take members that they find in certain risk pockets, and then we'll overlay our own analytics on those members and put together a personalized recipe to influence the member's behavior. As you already touched on, in some cases, we're working directly with the member using a variety of digital modalities, talking to them on the phone, reinforcing the best practices through a multitude of touches. But we're also informing the care teams at the provider level and at the pharmacy level so that everybody's on the same page. So much of it is making sure that everybody has the same type of information. Chandra probably spoke to you about the importance of literacy and numeracy and making sure our messaging equips everyone for the best possible action. And we put a lot of time and investment into that so that every communication has a positive yield. So that's important. I think another thing that's a differentiator that we've spent a lot of time on, and as an analytics guy, you've got to really embrace the data to get this right, but we go at risk at the atomic level. So we say we will put our compensation on the line for making members make positive behavior change. And we have to actually prove out that behavior change through changes in claims, changes in HEDIS data, and a variety of proof points that tend to be irrefutable. So having an economic model that hinges so much on human behavior is risky inherently. And that's why our years of working through the data allow us to place big bets that way. And it allows us to align our incentives with our plan partners. They're getting compensated or penalized based on quality ratings like stars, but they're also heavily affected. Their bottom lines are affected by MLR. And so if we can tether our economic viability to short-term proof points that ultimately aggregate to their long-term success, we can be extremely powerful together. And it creates an alignment that removes some of the kind of post-year abrasion that can characterize other at-risk partnerships.
That's great, Kempton. I really appreciate you outlining the process and really what sets you guys apart. It's very clear. The experience, right? All the data that you have, layering in, not necessarily duplicating those insights so that you're extracting what the payers already have and helping them action it for the results that everybody's looking for at the end of the day. Okay, so let's talk about setbacks, right? From the payer seat, your time at Elevance to now, like what are some of the setbacks in the space and opportunities that you've had to learn to grow within the space?
For sure. So I think at kind of a macro level, healthcare has challenges, right? Many plans are seeing some economic struggles right now. And as we're seeing in the news, it leads many to go, when you're dealing in times of kind of financial scarcity, it makes you really go in and look at the intrinsic kind of components of value in your product to say, can they stand on their own? You're not masked by overabundance. And so we're seeing some of that go on in the industry where many plans are looking inward and they're working harder with some of their existing vendors to do more. They're trying to get their cost structures in a better place. And I think ultimately that reconciliation leads to more sustainable value as markets bounce back. It's better mark to market in terms of the intrinsic assets and core competencies. From my own standpoint, we've all had setbacks, right? If you take risks in life, you have setbacks. For me, I remember earlier on in my career, there were times, periods of stagnation where either I was in a job that wasn't moving quickly, didn't feel like it had a wonderful path, or just the momentum wasn't where it needed to be. And so those were the times where I decided, okay, I need to keep moving forward. So I either went back to school at night and was trying to keep improving on something while waiting on something else. So like that forward progress. Other instances where you're in a role that you may not be passionate about, and there's a bit of a reckoning that can happen there. And there were times with companies where I took lateral or even backward moves in terms of positions to get to something that I was more excited about. And what was interesting about that is people come in and say, gosh, you were in this incredible, glamorous role. Why would you ever give that up? And there was something in my gut that said, this isn't where I need to be. I need to be over here. And even though it may not have been as glamorous, it was aligned with consulting and analytics and some of the things that I'd gone deep in academically. So I took a step back, but it allowed me to move forward really quickly because the head and the heart were aligned, if that makes any sense. So that's
oh man, I love that. No, Kempton, I love that. And you're speaking to me like really impactfully here. Like we at home, we say we optimize for happiness, right? and like, especially from numbers guy, right? Like, dude, optimize for happiness, people. Like if you are hating your job, find something else, do something else. You're not doing service to your stakeholders. You're not doing service, especially to yourself. Let's take a note from Kempton here and let's do the things that make us happy. Find that passion. For Kempton, it's the analytics, it's the data. And maybe he took a step back, but now he's taken a huge step forward as the CEO of his company. Just a great example of what following your heart and optimizing for happiness could mean. I really appreciate you sharing that, Kempton.
For sure. No, it sounds like Saul, you've navigated the same waters and it's worked out.
Oh, man. Yeah, listen, I've been miserable in positions and I've done similar to you where I just said, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm going to take a step back and be happy. And what happens is it might be temporary, but like the experience that you've had, you take a leap forward. I think that your message is strong, man. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us.
For sure. Appreciate the opportunity.
Look, so let's shift to trends, right? Obviously, you can't go anywhere without AI in the talks, right? So that's a part of it. But in your mind, what's a healthcare trend or tech that is going to change healthcare as we know it? And if it is AI, maybe put it within the lens of your business. And if it's not, that's okay too.
No, it's a great question. I thought hard about this one because I didn't want to be cliche because AI is certainly part of it, right? But it's like, okay, what subdomains within AI and analytics and other things are really going to take off? And I think that there are significant advancements happening just in genetic coding, genetic sequencing, being able to understand both the pharma pipelines, the device pipelines, that are going to bring a lot of new capabilities and a lot of new therapies to market much quicker. And so I think that's going to have a big impact. I think some of the work that agentic AI is going to be able to do that allows companies like ours to take some of the costs out of the kind of the administrative world and put it more on clinical interaction, put it more on patient rapport and ensuring that we're keeping the human spark in place. Right? Humans are critical to all of it, but having the right both systems, decision support, automation that allows our humans to practice at the top of their license. Where I go big, and this is like a little macro, but God, Peter Diamandis, who's a futurist who I like to...
I'm a fan.
Peter stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. What does he call it? The 60s of disruption or something like that?
Exactly. He's unpacked a lot of those different areas and he's talking to know. But one of the things that's really interesting, this is a big idea, is this concept of longevity escape velocity. And the idea is that you hear about research and advancements and some of the things I was talking about earlier, leading to extending lifespan. The average life expectancy in our modern world continues to increase. This longevity escape velocity is this concept where the average life expectancy increases faster than the time it takes to grow. So in other words, there becomes a point where research, development, therapy pipelines go faster than they add more life than it takes to do it. And that's like this longevity escape velocity, which basically gives a lot of hope about, what's going to happen. Now, Diamandis has said, hey, just don't do anything stupid in the next 5-10 years so that you can experience this escape velocity. But that to me is a moonshot or a big idea. And then you can buttress that with all these different areas between tech innovation, life sciences innovation, labor force innovation that are going to give us a lot of different changes over the next 5 to 10 years. Maybe a little more zoom out than you.
I love it, man. That's great.
Yeah.
Here's to being future centenarians. Count me in.
Let's do it. We heard it here first.
Hey, listen, and if we look at it from a TAM perspective for AdhereHealth, that's a growing market right there.
Absolutely. We don't want Medicare to just grow. We want people to have longer lifespans. But also another thing he points out is like, we don't want people living forever and not feeling good. So like health span is as important as lifespan. So how do we make it such that quality of life also increases and improves at the same speed as length of life?
Love that, Kempton. No, that's great, man. Really appreciate that. And look, hey, that we might see a little of that peek into the board deck or the investor deck there.
Kempton, if our TAM has an infinity symbol on it, that may be when we need to bring Bitcoin down to earth.
Hey, yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, look, Kempton, this is a lot of fun. Really appreciate connecting with you. Your story and how Adheres is making a difference is really inspiring. I thank you for joining us. If you wanted to leave our listeners with a closing thought, what would you leave them with? And what's the best place they could follow you and also the company?
No, that's great. Thank you for that opportunity, Saul. And I'll probably isn't a surprise, but I'll say that in one's career, in one's business, in one's greater market, momentum is everything. You got to keep moving. You got to keep growing. And if you're at a point of stagnation in one aspect of your life, there's definitely other threads that you can tap into that allow you to keep moving. It gets back to that whole setback discussion we just had.
Yeah.
And sometimes the decisions you make may feel like you're moving laterally or you're even moving backward to get to something that allows you to pursue that goal that's most important. The best place for listeners to connect with us, we do publish a lot of what we consider thought leadership on the socials. Between LinkedIn is a really good place to find it. We do press releases in a variety of different areas. Hope that that's something that people will connect with, and we're here to talk at any point that folks want to go deeper.
Love that, Kempton. Really appreciate the invitation to dive deeper into the thought leadership you guys do. Impactful work here in the medication adherence space, the full chain. Folks, thanks for tuning in to our episode today with Kempton Presley. He's the CEO of AdhereHealth. The show notes have everything you need to click on and learn more. Kempton, thanks for being with us.
So it was a pleasure. Love speaking with you. And look forward to continuing the dialogue.
Likewise, my friend.